GM. GM, trade of the day. So I'm going to look at a bit of macro actually. And I mean, you have to keep an eye on this for Bitcoin. Gold is not breaking out, right? Gold has had a brutal false breakout. And you have to understand, if you track the gold bugs, right, the gold maxis, those guys are fucking, as in fact, they're in some senses they're even more fucking religious than the Bitcoin maxis, right? Because the gold bugs have been at this shit for 5,000 years. So don't forget that every asset is full of emotion. And I think people have just smashed into the gold breakout, expecting a breakout. Gold all-time high, pure euphoria. You look at this move up, like it just ripped out and full retrace back down inside. So keep an eye on that. That's the kind of move that can be a top for a significant period of time, right? There's no guarantees in this market. Now, gold's structure is excellent. It's built a base here for over 3 years, 3.5 years. Sure. But it doesn't mean that has to be the breakout, right? When the breakout comes, it tends to not come back. So you need to see how gold goes this week. But if gold does false breakout here and falls back inside, keep an eye on, keep a very close eye on that with regards to Bitcoin. Not for its short-term action. Short-term Bitcoin's price action is going to be driven by the ETF. But if gold doesn't break out and starts to retrace, it's going to negatively affect Bitcoin, at least from that correlation, right? So just be mindful. Be mindful. Also, you've got the trades, right? The different trades that people are taking. So stocks versus gold versus bonds versus crypto. It's all just one big trade with the mindset of cash is trash, right? And the US dollar, people don't want to hold it. Euros, people don't want to hold it, right? We've gotten past the worst of the bear market in all assets. We've gotten past probably the worst of the hiking that the Fed's going to do, and central banks in general, right? They're trying to tackle inflation. They've hiked interest rates significantly. We're through most of that. Not all, but we're through most of that. So the market is now starting to look ahead. And as it looks ahead, it sees interest rate cuts. It sees inflation probably either staying around at lower levels or declining. And I think the view of the market is the banks are going to print again. And therefore, the allocation of capital, what are we buying? I think people are asking, what's the best asset to own going into 2024? So obviously Bitcoin and crypto have done really well. But gold, I think if stocks start to rip, right? If stock market starts to break out to all-time highs next year, which it seems pretty likely, the S&P, nice full reversal of that attempted breakdown. I think it's going to base here, like Professor Ayush talked about on the stream yesterday. It's formed a big 50 MA base box. Nasdaq, even better. It's touching right on all-time highs. So the narrative wise, I think if stock market breaks out to new all-time highs, I think gold is going to suffer, right? Gold's not going to be the sexy asset, because if stocks go all-time highs again, investors are going to do what they've always done, which is get fucking long stocks. Yeah, that's the play. It's kind of interesting over here when you look at 2015. As the Nasdaq pushed up towards all-time highs, this is a monthly chart, remember? So it moved up to all-time highs, had a sell-off, had a full retracement of it, had another sell-off, took out those lows, and then went to all-time highs. That's quite interesting when you look at this chart, because that's similar, just on a lower time frame similar to what we're doing here. You could actually look at it maybe on a weekly, right? Where you've got the all-time high. Price comes up towards it, sells off, retraces. And so if that did the same thing again, it would sell off, take out those lows, and then away it goes to all-time highs. That'll be quite interesting. You can see it over here. It's just basically like a double dip down, rally up, take the highs, down, grab the liquidity, and grind up. So we've done all of that so far. We've dipped down, we've come back up, we've took the highs. I'll be watching this if the Nasdaq makes new lows. I'll be going back and look at 2015 pre all-time high break. Very interesting for me. That would throw a lot of people off because you're looking at all-time high breakouts, right? And if it's going to be like this fucking new bull market, it can spend significant amount of time consolidating at the highs, right? The longer it spends up here, the better. The more of a base it builds, the better for the actual breakout. I mean, how long did it base in 2015 before the breakout? Right, it moved back up to the highs in July, and then it finally broke out in January. So very similar to what we're doing now. We're currently July, and we're moving up towards December now. Got one more month to go, January. We're not as close to all-time highs as we were then either. That's interesting. I'd love to see another dip on it. It's not going to make it like, so it's not going to happen now, by the way. It's not going to happen, sorry. What the fuck? I don't like that new trading view feature where it just automatically moves your fucking alert if you drag it by accident. It doesn't let you confirm. That's a bit bullshit. What was I saying? Yeah, with stock market, I'd like to see a little bit more fuckery before we would go up. But the most probable time for a dip in stocks is not until January. I don't think there's going to be strong seasonality and strong positive flows into the end of the year. So it'll be probably hard to get the markets down here before January. And so we might just see some more consolidation till the end of the year. Yeah, this is a weekly chart. So it might just keep grinding like that into January. And then maybe we drop off. Be something like that. Down into March, up into April, heading towards the election. Away we go, boom. Who knows? Anyway, that's just something to keep an eye on. So gold, and the point of this trade of the day is, it's not obviously trade of the day, it's trade of the next year, 2024. How's it going to look? And I'll probably expand on this a little bit on Weekly Outlook, which I'll have up today. I would have had it up yesterday, except I was doing the crossover stream with Professor Ayush. So, when looking ahead, the big question is, what's the best trade for next year? And you have to imagine several different scenarios, what the future can look like in various different, with various different outcomes. And it's not as simple, right? There's no simple answer. I mean, obviously we just think crypto, but like, you can't just think that way, right? You have to think about the world more broadly. If you choose to trade crypto as a way of expressing that opinion, that's fine. I mean, that's what I do. But you do have to look across the markets and see what's happening, because it's not just about what you think, it's about what the market is actually voting on. And to me, the gold breakout, all-time high, is it not? Is it false breakout? That's a very interesting sub-narrative to watch, especially as it relates to crypto. AI. I wonder how is AI going to be set up for next year? I mean, for Nvidia here, which is kind of like the leader of the AI, and this is relevant for your AI crypto coins. It doesn't look like a top, right? As in the top. It hasn't had any kind of overextension really. It hasn't had blow off top. It hasn't had, it doesn't look like a typical bubble top. It may be a local high, probably just to continue some consolidation. So it seems like there's more juice to come in the AI narrative, in the AI bubble, in the AI hype. So that's another one to keep a close eye on. All right. So that's it. GM. That's trade of the day. Just a little bit of a macro overview. Keep thinking about what the best plays are. Your cross asset correlations are important, right? If Nvidia does well, AKT will do well. That's been a pretty tight correlation this year. So it's important to look across these different sectors. So if gold does well, Bitcoin should do well, which means crypto does well. If Nvidia does well, AKT should do well, and obviously crypto AI should do well. A lot of these, the markets are becoming more intertwined now as more and more big money from TradFi comes in to crypto. So keep across all of that. All right, GM.